Hi, welcome to this module on data management and database access. My name is Mogessie. I'm a project scientist at the Penn Center for Learning Analytics here at UPenn. In this module, we will talk about how you as data scientists can manage your data, access databases, import data from your databases into your data science projects, or even integrate them into your data science pipelines. This module was designed with any audience in mind. You are not required to have any prior knowledge about databases. If you do, it will help you follow along on the course easier. Also, if you are familiar with any programming language such as Python, it will make things much easier, but it's not necessary. You should be able to learn all you need for this module by just following along, watching these videos, and going through the demos on your own by pausing this video. So here's what we will cover in this module. First, we will start with a discussion of what databases are, what types of major databases are out there, and we will also talk about what is interesting when it comes to data science about databases. Databases can store lots of information, and there's a lot of ways that we can communicate with them. It's not just storing, we can retrieve, modify, manipulate data inside databases, but we're not really going to cover those things when it comes to databases as it pertains to data science. So we will try to focus on what common database operations there are for data science. And then we will move on to a largely demo-based section about databases, where we will look at database servers that actually store your database, which are the engines that drive everything in the background, and the clients, which is basically software that you install on your machine, which could be GUI based or command line based, that is able to communicate with the backend or with the database servers. We will do a demo of like how to connect to a database server from a client. For this particular module, we will focus on one of the most popular database servers out there. It's called MySQL. And for the client, we will use a DB client called dbeaver, which is free software, which also has an open source version. So we will use that to communicate with our database. We will dive further and look at a sample public database called the employees database. We will do a demo of how to query that database, how to look at what the database structure looks like in general. And we'll go even further and see how we can query the employees database with a special language designed for databases called structured query language, or in short, SQL. So when it comes to databases, it's all fun and nice to look at what the tables look like, what the rows, the columns in a database look like. But you as data scientists do not typically do that. What we do is we use some programming language. In the data science world, Python is probably the most popular programming language of choice. So we can use a programming language to actually communicate, interact with databases. That way you can develop a small program, a big program, any sort of program that actually stores, retrieves, manipulates data inside a database. So we will do a small demo of how we can connect to our MySQL database that will have the employees database inside from Python. We will also do a demo of how we can read the data from the employees tables into our environment using Python, and do a little visualization of what the data looks like. And then we will move to another demo of how we can query the employees database to ask specific to answer specific questions. For instance, if we have a company with N number of departments and M number of employees, we can ask interesting questions as as a basic introduction. How many employees are in this department? How many employees are in that department? Which employee is the highest paid in this department? So we can always formulate our questions in a natural language and translate it into a language that databases understand, which is the structured query language in our case. This process of asking the database for specific information is commonly referred to as querying. So we will do some queries to get our hands dirty quickly so you can see what it looks like. And then in the end, I will provide a short summary of what we went through and provide you with some tips and tricks that you can use when communicating with databases. And I will wrap up with an optional section on some observations about databases in particular as they relate to data science, but also databases, how they are mostly used out there in the world today. And this is basically related to software development and software engineering practices, because databases are more popular in the software engineering world than in data science. But it's not all black and white. There is always an intersection. And I will give you a few observations on how you as a data scientist may be able to benefit from software engineering practices as they relate to databases that have been out there for decades. So we will wrap up this module with that discussion. Like I say, the last part is completely optional, but I think it's probably one of the most interesting sections in this module. But I don't want this module to be just one-sided. So since we are going to be going through a bunch of demos, what I would like you is first to get ready to set up your machine to use the dbeaver software client to access a remote database, which I will show you how to do. And once we set up our machine and we are ready, you can move through these videos at your pace, pause the video if you like, and interact with the database on your own, so you have a more understanding of what is actually going on. And that makes it a lot more interesting. So this is how we're going to go through this module. So you ready? Let's go.